Let's review Extreme Escape's Grand Illusion.
We did our first escape room last night, Grand Illusion. Great way to start off our week.
Very well.
Perfect room to start the week. I don't know if that's the best room that we'll do, but it may have been the best room we did.
Let's hope not.
Almost broke the record for the month.
We were 2 minutes short of the record for the month, so we were a little disappointed. As always,
2 minutes short. Theme of your life, Mike.
The thing. The thing that really tripped us up again was searching.
Mm-hmm.
We none of the puzzles really stumped us that much. It was not finding what we needed to find that really held us up. All right, let's talk pros and cons. What did we like about Grand Illusion?
First of all, very easy to find this escape room. You drive up. I think we were like one of 2 cars in the parking lot. Nice area. What town was
A
it?
lot of restaurants. I don't know. Franklin, Tennessee.
Franklin, Tennessee.
Yep.
A lot of great restaurant shopping around there. And then you get greeted by the general manager, Austin. And
Yep.
from opening the door to when we left, Austin took care of us very well, would you say?
Yeah, and he was involved all the way through the process. Not, okay, go to your room now. I'll see you when you get out.
Wasn't
all the way through.
distracted by, whatever else he was doing. We were there, and he took care of us.
My favorite thing about this room was the instructions and how they take you into a theater before you ever go into the room. So you leave the lobby, big lobby, you go into the theater room, and the theater is where you watch the introduction video, the rules video, and all of that. They get you into the mindset of what the escape room, how it works, and all that stuff. And you're literally in like tiered seating, theater seats, a theater room in a very cool, probably the best setting for that I've ever seen in an escape room.
Yeah, I agree.
And well done video. Like it was, it wasn't boring, wasn't too long.
Like CGI style
Yep.
instructional video. And then you leave that room, you go into the escape room. One of the things that we talked a lot about was in the room, the game master, Austin, actually stayed in the room with us most of the time. And so some of us liked that, some of us didn't like that. I personally loved it because one of the things that he did while he was in the room is he took notes. He would write down funny things that we said, or areas that we got tripped up, or places that he would give us advice that you could have done this different, or and different things. And then in the debrief, back in the theater room, he actually went through his notes with us, and we reminisced about funny things that we had said, and
might have missed that we didn't. Yeah.
Things that we didn't miss, or stupid mistakes that we made that would have saved a minute there. I loved that. And in my opinion, it was the best debrief I've ever seen in an escape room, by far.
By far.
It was an incredible debrief and made us laugh all over again. We got to re-laugh at all our jokes from inside the room. He wrote them down. He actually gave us all name tags, and we all had nicknames in the room. And so when he was doing his debrief, Billy's nickname was the captain. He'd say, "The captain said this." What were your nicknames, guys? Max.
Foxy.
Which doesn't fit at all.
And you're Paul.
I was Paul. I like Paul Blart Mall Cop. So it jumped into my mind.
Okay.
I didn't know how to spell the rest of it though, so.
The waiter liked Paul too. After the.
That is true.
That's right,
We had
yeah.
some fans.
Our server was a fan of Paul.
Yeah.
So yeah, debrief was hilarious. Debrief was helpful, and in my opinion, that was the best thing about this room. And him being in the room, he was able to give very clear hints. You're not screaming at a camera in the corner trying to get hints. He did keep calling hints clues, which
Come on, Austin.
got under my skin
Come
a
on,
little bit.
Austin.
But he was right in the room. If he's going to give a hint, you don't have to do this long, request a hint process.
Exactly where we were.
And he could just walk us through the process. They weren't like these
They were
disguised.
very clear. Knew what the next step was going to be. Sometimes hints are a little ambiguous. You're not sure really what that hint meant, but it was very clear on what we needed to do.
You didn't have to decode the hint.
Yes.
You could just get to the point. And that was very, very cool. What was one of your favorite things about the room, Bill?
Just the design was very professional.
And he said they also designed haunted houses, and that
Yeah.
kind of gave them the skills they used to transfer into escape rooms. And oh man, the set design and the props were perfect, like top notch, highest quality, up there with the highest quality escape rooms I've ever seen as far as set design and prop design. Incredibly well
The
done.
Grand Illusion, the theme is magic, so it felt like you were in sort of a magician's lair from a vintage era.
Yep.
So yeah, just well done, attention to detail.
And one thing I loved about the set is the different settings, the different room that you had to like open up. It was interchangeable. Like you
Yeah.
don't go to another room and then forget about it. You had to keep going back and forth. There was many times I looked and all four of us were in a different part of the room having to work together. But then there was at some times where it was just, it seemed like we had to focus on one thing to make sure it went into the next thing, which was a little bit more linear. And so, but so many puzzles, so many, what was it, physical challenge puzzles, so many locks, so many like things that just took a lot of different wits and ways to.
That's a great point. There were multiple physical challenge puzzles in this room.
Yep.
And those were fun. You guys like physical challenges more than I do.
Yeah.
What I think would be called the fourth area of this room, quite expansive. When you first get in there, you don't expect it to be so big, but it's a big room. And the fourth area that we got into was a laser room, and it was one of the most immersive rooms.
Yeah.
He said that they brought this idea over from one of the haunted houses that they did. And it's so, you walk into this room, you're like a little bit, I don't know, it's vertigo is the word, or you're just like, what's happening? How do I feel like I'm feeling in this room? Just very, very, very cool room and exciting. We weren't in that room for very long. I think I may have gotten dizzy if we were in that room much longer. But it was a very cool room.
Yeah, there was like a fog machine, and somehow the fog separated the top part of the room from the bottom part of the room.
Right.
To where you had to go underneath the fog to
Yep.
do certain things, and it was just, felt very surreal
Yes. Yeah.
to be in that room. Yeah. One of the things that we're talking about the story, and it's a magic theme, and Austin being in the room, which it was very helpful. I loved not having to hold the walkie-talkie. But there wasn't a continuous immersive story
Yeah.
from start to finish. Like it felt like we were solving puzzles, not experiencing a story.
Yeah.
Is my only drawback to the room.
I totally agree, and I that's obviously not their focus. They have chosen to focus more on the team building, more on the cool experience rather than a cool story, and that's a decision they've made as a guy who prefers cool puzzle rooms to cool story rooms.
Yeah. So one suggestion, Austin, like if you were to do this, like you had a long coat, like a magician's type coat, but we didn't know who Austin was.
Yep.
But he did play a little part. This was my favorite part. There was several parts, probably 3 times, where there was time where I would literally jumped out of my skin because I was not prepared for what was happening, and so we don't want to.
He definitely played a role at
There's
some
a
point.
role. There is the role of illusion and the magic, and then there was the surprise that came with.
I agree. I think that was other than the design and how well it was made. I think the part, because Austin asked this question after, like, what part will you remember the most? And to me, it was there were a couple of jump elements that just takes you because you're so concentrating on the puzzle or opening a box or something like that, and your focus is just fine tuned in these escape rooms, which is what I love. But then there's a jump element that just takes you right back out of it. That's my favorite part of rooms is a jump element.
Yeah, that was very fun. Okay, we're gonna give reviews now. Out of 5, what would we review it? Bill, you want to go first? What would you give rating out of 5?
Yeah, the scale of I hate that Mike only gives me 5 numbers, so I'm gonna go like a 4.2.
Not allowed. So Billy's giving it a 4. A 4. I think that's good. I've been bouncing back and forth between 4 and 5. I'm going to give it up to a 5 because of the debrief at the end, and they make such a sacrifice to do that 15-minute debrief after the room, because that means they're having to wait that much longer to get the next team into the room. And I want to appreciate them for sacrificing and doing the debrief. That is so worth it, and it is so awesome. And him being in the room helped that debrief. It took away from the storyline. In my opinion, the only downside of this room was the lack of immersive story. I'm going to guess some of their other rooms that we saw probably had more of an immersive storyline than this one. But I'm going to give it the 5 because the debrief deserves the 5, in my opinion. And the set design.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Caleb.
I think I would go with a 4. And just like the best thing was the customer service. Austin being the one that greeted us, that checked us in, telling us, briefing us in the theater room, being with us the whole time, and then going into the debrief. I wasn't ready for the debrief, and you would have probably lost a lot of the memories that he brought up, because I was like, oh yeah, I remember saying that or working through that, and didn't realize how crucial that piece opened up this next step. And so he was able to walk us through that, and having him kind of be the narrator or a different voice was pretty cool.
And I want to point out that one thing he did in the room, Caleb actually solved a puzzle without having all the pieces yet. And I expected, because he's in the room, for him to say, no, you need to actually do it the right way. Mm-hmm. He didn't. He just let us go forward, and I appreciated that.
I think I'd give it a 5. Again, I haven't done as many escape rooms as you guys have, but I just, from the time we got there to the time we left, Austin did a great job leading us through that. I love the elements of surprise. That took me over the edge as far as the experience.
Highly recommend Grand Illusion.
Yes.
Extreme Escape.